Why doesn't a giraffe have the problem that a human has? Obviously, it contains all of the associations of itself with itself. There is only God, so any association is either whole or it's nothing. The problem that a human condition has, and this is why Jesus would say it's crazy, obviously it's meeting itself coming and going. Can you get that at all? Can you hear that? This is called the great reversal in the Course. Okay. Somewhere, you know perfectly well that you came from heaven. It would be impossible that you don't know that, because your whole reality is based on knowing. Yet you find yourself in a condition where that is apparently not so. And you are using the potential of time, which is what you are in your black hole, to authenticate your relationship as what? As you evolve back to the light. Because it's impossible that you did not return to that. Okay? Imagine the discovery. I'm looking at the human condition for just a minute, show you what a human being is. And this is why you're doing it in your concepts. Imagine the discovery that a chimpanzee or an ape undergoes who has a perfect recognition of himself in his association, when suddenly he is beset by the idea that there is something outside of him. Can you imagine that? And it's not a chimpanzee. See, I'm teaching the Course here, but I'm teaching it in a way. Obviously, a chimpanzee is perfect unto itself. A human being has an experience of something outside of himself, okay? And immediately has to begin to invent separate forms to justify himself in his own association. This is the beginning of salvation, because he has created a God. Guys, you have the exact difference between an ape and a man is death. No, I can't hear it. Time. He invents an association within his own mind and actually constructs a beginning and end to his own mind. Jesus calls it, you invent time. You become a distance between your own thoughts. It's a phenomenal occurrence, because now you're a distance between your own thoughts and you're aware of it. You're aware of this thought and you're aware of that thought. Okay? Obviously, a baboon does not do that. Can you hear that? A baboon only has baboon thoughts. You actually have a thought, an objective thought about that base, separate from what you are. What a phenomenal occurrence. That becomes a what? This. No, the hell with you. This. A baboon does not go, this. Rug. Look at, see? You have form in your mind. It's not that the form is real, but you sure as hell have subtracted one form from another. What did you invent? Language. I mean, obviously language would be the outcome of that. A baboon didn't speak because it didn't have to. Some of you hear a little whatever. This is all in the Course in Miracles. Jesus has nothing to do with verbal communication at all. He says it's crazy you're in hell because you don't know what the form is. You make up the form in your own mind. I'm back to what I'm teaching. You live between your forms of your own mind, right? That's what the perceptual mind is, right? Even though the form is gone, you hold the form together in the concept of yourself and call it Joe Dokes, okay? And you become Joe Dokes. The Course teaches you Joe Dokes obviously has no reality. He doesn't come from anywhere. All he could possibly come from is the original thought he had about himself, which is already gone. Right? So if it's already gone, he's living in his goneness. Okay? This world was over a long time ago. Matter of fact, Jesus real nicely says, the mind that had this thought is long gone. Okay? It was gone the moment it had the thought, but you're living in the reflection of the original thought back to the thought that's already gone. And now you're already gone. Okay? That's a little difficult for you. As Jesus says in lesson number 7, it may be very difficult for you initially to admit that all time is past. But the easiest way to teach a reasonable mind is to teach it that every time it has a thought, it's gone, and that's very reasonable to me. And it's very reasonable to you, and it's very reasonable to all human beings. They will not deny it. Why? It's reasonable. Huh? If you have a thought, it is gone, but you hold it in your memory, don't you? Don't you? Well, you don't have to argue with me. I'm telling you, you have a thought, and you keep trying to examine what I'm saying. I know this is in the course, but throw the course out. You have a thought, right? And then you remember that thought. Huh? Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to stay here, would you? Yes or no? Well, no. So some of us discovered the frustration of having to base our reality on memory that was gone. I'm teaching right out of the book for you now. Obviously, if I had a thought and it's already gone, I had to remember the gone thought in order to establish my reality, and the frickin' thought is already gone. Okay? That's why Jesus teaches that all past associations are resentments. All of them. Either a resentment because the lovely thought is gone, or it's a resentment because it's an old thought you want to get even with and can't find. Do you understand? But it's still a resentment. Shit, I lost it. So all you really do is hold your own lost thoughts together, right? And I hope you'll be able to read the course this afternoon, because this is what this says. So you hold your own thoughts together that are already gone, and you call that a human condition. And that's exactly what a human condition is. Now, what can I do for you? Well, let's ask the question. What are you using to hold the thoughts together? Mind. The power of God, which is what you are using to hold your own thoughts together. Aren't you?
Yes.
And you're very successful at it. Well, it's so obvious. Well, congratulations, human asshole. You're not really doing anything. But if you do it, you must suffer the consequences of the eventual loss of the form of your own mind, won't you? Huh? The damn thing is falling apart all the time. And you poor loonies, and I gotta call you loonies because humans are loonies, base their reality on holding the tension of their own thoughts together. Question. Come on, human, ask, isn't that what you do? Of course that's what you do. Your reality depends on your holding your thoughts together, doesn't it? Wouldn't you die if your thoughts fell apart? Yes or no?
Yes.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Why do you hold them together then? Of course they'll die if you fall apart. That's what death is. Come on, I'm talking to you about death. You think there's death? Otherwise, why would you hold your thoughts together? Not only do you think there's death, this is the third obstacle to peace. You depend on death as a verification for why you have to hold your thoughts together.
Yeah.
Who heard it?
Yeah.
Did anybody hear it? Yeah. And that's the third obstacle to peace. What's it called? The attraction of death. As long as you can hold your thoughts together, you can verify death and succeed in dying. You're good at it. If you don't feel the frustration of having to die to prove you're alive, get the hell out of here. Some of us have felt the frustration of getting together, loving each other, and in order to verify we really lived, we have to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is in the course. See where that's written in there? It makes no sense at all. At the very least, it should piss you off, but it doesn't. You don't mind it. Huh? A whole mind says, why the hell do you suffer pain, sickness, and death in order to prove that you can die? No, nobody hears me. All you could possibly prove in your own suffering is that you can die. You can't possibly prove you're alive. I'm going home. That's why I'm just giving you a final test of your own non-lucidity. Your refusal to hear this is obviously the retention of your humanness, but it's not real. This is an extremely simple course. You're going to lay all sorts of layers of problems on it. But the problem is not that. The problem is your associate mind. You like it, you love it, you depend on death, you depend on cancer, you depend on your brother being sick, you depend on losing the things you love, you depend on pain and sickness to be you, and that's stupid, dumb, unreal, and an hallucination. And I'm here from another place telling you it's time for you to let this place go and at least come up to the place where there's love, because there's no love here, there's only death. You may call it love, but loving something to death is not what love is. Okay, some of you are hearing me a little bit. The reason you're hearing me is I'm giving you a little energy, yeah. That might shake loose your mind enough so I could get some friggin' light in between yourself. Because the experience of the miracle is to allow you to undergo the experience of your own mind. It doesn't have anything to do with that guy or this guy. It has to do with you, right? Can you emerge as what Jesus calls a vehicle of communication, what we call new man? We're calling him new man. Okay, a new man is able to extend from himself the certainty of his own mind. Okay, a human cannot do that because he's only getting a reflection of his own thoughts. Can you do that? You see that? That's why earthlings are fearful, aren't they? Earthlings are fearful, or you, earthling back there sitting with that funny shirt, you are fearful because you're getting a reflection of your own mind. There's no sense in looking at him. I'm just giving you a fact of the condition of man. Okay, whole mind laughs at that. Jesus calls it being asleep or hallucinating. It says, why do you depend on the reflections of your perceptual mind to hold you in your identity? Why don't you use the power, okay, of the universal mind, which must be what you are, all right, to demonstrate to yourself your own whole reality? Even if it's only a step out of the necessity, even if it's only a broader re-identity of you so that you won't have to be as fearful of your own thoughts. Who hears me? See, perceptual minds cannot communicate, dummies. Can you hear it? This is the course now. There is no communication that can go on between a conceptual association because they are both contained within your own mind. Isn't that so? You may appear to have projected it out, but obviously you're just getting a reflection of your... Are you Course in Miracles teachers? Do you teach the course or no? Okay. But the course will say that. All human beings are conceptual associations within their own mind. You have no problem admitting that. Okay? The question is not that. The fundamental question is, what power are you using to hold yourself in your conceptual association? That power is God. There's no power in the universe that can stop you from using your own God power to formulate yourself in your own association until you feel enough frustration with yourself in your own non-identity to release it and discover that you're really the holy living Son of God. Is that built into you physiologically? Sure. Defending your life. What percent of the human mind does the human brain use? You guys only use 6% of your mind. That's why you're fear. As soon as you use more than that, you'd never have an earth. You wouldn't assemble an earth. An earth is just to protect you from your own light. I know it. I know it. Amazing, isn't it? Not only that, but you're protecting yourself from the part of your mind you refuse to use. I can really teach this physiologically. The reason I can is the latest thing shows a maximum of new mind. I'm talking the cortex, the late mind. That there's no identity with more than 20% of it. The latest, somebody who had that, what they call hydrophilia, where the whole mind has been destroyed. Okay, our IQ testing at 125 and 130. Okay, it's an indication that the perceptual mind really isn't using the power of its own mind except to authenticate, to make computers. Yeah. Okay? I know, but I'm teaching the art form of love here. So as long as it can hold the form together, it doesn't have to let in the light of love or God or what you would call genius mind. I've got all sorts of talks out like that. But obviously, genius mind may become fearful because it holds its extension of itself, and it kills itself because it can't stand the passion of itself. You alleviate that problem by not letting God in at all. So all of your demonstrations of self are an attempt to keep yourself from having the experience of enlightenment. This is the Course in Miracles. What are you afraid of? Strange as it seems, you were for a moment afraid of God. This is the fourth obstacle to peace, and it says it. That's the final one. You're afraid of your own reality. God. Question? So you want to discuss this with me, dummies? Obviously, why you would be afraid of your own creator is the height of insanity, because you've already admitted to a creator. Yet you set up obstacles in your own mind to be simply God creating, which is what you are. Okay? Okay, do that. That's fine. Now, how can I help you? Your dream, your conception of yourself. This association still may believe that there's other people out there, but there aren't. The whole Course tells you there aren't other people. They're only constructs of your own mind. So you must accept that idea in yourself in order to undergo the experience of enlightenment. Okay. Is it possible for me to do that, really? You'll have to answer that for me. Certainly it's impossible to do it within your own concepts, because your own concepts aren't real. You keep basing your reality on your own reference, and you've always been wrong, gone, and dead. You're coming from a potential that is no longer there, that was already fulfilled at the moment. You keep using up your potential in time as you ascend to your light. But remember that the beginning of you is the end of you. You've reversed, Jesus calls it, you've reversed your temporal order. You're actually meeting yourself on the way down and on the way coming out, okay? God, boom, earth. And you're coming back, and the human mind is right square in the middle of the association. So he invents a way out, but depends on being down here to get himself out. He can spend an awful long time doing that. The Course in Miracles is a direct route, no spiritual path. It simply says, let this go, and you'll shoot straight out. All of the veiled, non-veiled parters say, don't do that, don't do that. Let's set up the 12-fold path of Buddhism. Let's go out like this so we can keep identifying ourselves rather than simply taking the straight out course. The Course in Miracles is straight out. It doesn't allow for any potential at all. It says, keep releasing your own thoughts and you'll have the experience of life. Love is letting go of fear. Fear is your own self-identity held together by yourself. The miracle does nothing. The miracle is working full all the time because it's what you are. The experience of the miracle requires that you release the tension or friction of death which holds you together. Okay? Who is the sickness? You are. Do you see that? Can you see it? You don't have sickness, you are the sickness. That's why it's so easy to heal you. If the whole you is what the sickness is, as you identify yourself, you release yourself and you're healed. You don't keep sorting yourself out and decide that I am sick from this. Okay, why? This is the falsity. It has nothing to do with this. Can you see that? You keep trying to heal the effects of your own mind out there. The sickness is this. Okay, stop trying to heal your effects. It won't work. How could it work? They were made sick by your mind in the first place. The last thing you will ever do is heal them, because their sickness is your dependency. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm doing it right out of the Course, and it's fun if you've been reading the Course to do that. The last thing an unhealed teacher is going to do is heal his projections, because his projections give him his reality, and if they are sick, he can be sick. Good. That's an unhealed teacher. So what am I? I'm a whole healer. It isn't hard to do. All I had to do is not give you any identity under any circumstances. That's the workbook of A Course in Miracles. If I don't give you any identity under any circumstances, you can attack me, but it won't affect me at all. All I'm telling you is that all the shit that you brought into this room has no reality. You're perfect as God created you. The problem you have with that is I'm totally uncompromising about it. You insist that somewhere I give you some sort of license for your old crap. I won't do that. Because if I give you license for any of it, you will then depend on your own crap to keep your identity. Okay? You will not then what? Experience the miracle of the holy instant when you release the necessity to keep formulating yourself. Are you feeling this association? Yeah. I'll tell you why you're feeling the association. You really are in your own dream of our mutual remembering of this. I'm going home, so I'm going to give you a confession. You have associations in your memory that are remembering this perfectly well now. And they're calling to you to remember this. And they are you. Can you get a little of that? This is out of the course. And it's a fun thing to do. When Jesus teaches it, because he has to teach time, he teaches flat out that we're all reminiscing about this. Can you hear that? He calls it a borderland. He has a direct sentence that says, really, time is all gone, and we're all just getting together remembering this.
Yeah.
Huh? That's a sentence right out of the course. Yeah? The question is not that. The question is, where are you individually remembering it in your own association? You see? Because the conflict that you had with each other was where you protected your own identity, okay, projected yourself out and called that another association and suffered non-forgiveness. Suffered the necessity to hold yourself apart. Obviously, somewhere you came together, you would have to have, because you come from the same source.
Yeah.
Okay? If you didn't keep yourself separate, you would immediately come together because you are the same. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
True statement. The step out of chaos is for you to come into chaotic total identity. You admit you're from a common source, you set a common goal, and you cannot not come to it because you come from the same place. As long as you set your own individual goals contained within your own self, you remain non-communicative and locked into the shell of the autonomy of self-preservation. Okay, now it seems very likely to you that this is what atonement is, doesn't it? Jesus calls it autonomous atonement, because you're contained within your own self. And obviously you're protecting yourself in order to be free within your own bondage. Yet you're using the power of the universe each moment to authenticate your own humanness. It's an amazing thing. It's totally non-communicative and means nothing. A whole teacher, I'm a whole teacher, will always tell you that you are nothing. Okay, I'll give you this literally. All of our awakening minds cannot now tell the difference between one persona and another. They are not different. They know they are not different because that association is not real. I'm really not concerned about what that association does in its own mind. Okay? All it's going to do is lay on me its own projections. It will have absolutely no effect on me. I will not participate in your humanness.
Yeah.
At that moment, I become a threat to you. Why? I'm the Christ. I'm not going to participate in your old mind. I am telling you that I am a product of your own mind, which you've already admitted, because I am a product. You've invented me. There's not a question about that. All I am is a later time association of you. This is direct teachings out of the course. You need an older somebody, or an earlier, a newer somebody, who is a later reflection of what you are.
Yeah.
You're hell-bent, and the reason that this is resented by the perceptual mind, you're hell-bent on believing that I figured this out in some manner separate from what you are, but I didn't. The last thing any whole mind would do would be to take any credit at all for his enlightenment. Okay, because credit is exactly why he wasn't enlightened. You think that I don't understand that my fear, my inability to stand this is what got me out of here? You guys, how you guys put up with it, Ralph's not liable to put up with it very much longer. What do? You just get tired of this shit. You surrender, you feel. You never decide. And it's a practice, but why does it change? You had made the previous decision, which was what's holding you and where you were. Obviously, you can't know that until you do the workbook. Until you say, I will let it be what it is. I won't tell it. I won't tell it what it is. I'll ask it. Otherwise, you'll always get the reflection of your own mind. Sounds like Marianne Williamson does. Yes. She teaches you can change your mind by, and you can. Yeah. Is that what's happening here now? Sure. Really, all you're doing is releasing your own specific previous historic identity. You really thought that you got in a car, and you really thought that you drove out here. Dummies. This is all gone, obviously. It's obviously gone, but that's all right. You can remember it. You can hold on to it, bring yourself, which is a weird thing, into a room that appeared to be here when you got here, but it wasn't. No, it was just in your own mind. This is kind of hard to teach. And of course, Jesus says you came into an earth that you thought was waiting for you to come into. You brought it with you. It is you. It's just a reflection of your own mind. No matter how tempted you are to believe that that object out there is affecting you, you are the cause of it. This is the beginning of atonement.
Yeah.
Because you'll stop, this is forgiveness.
Yeah.
You'll stop trying to identify with it, and the moment that you release it, you'll see it differently. Why? It's only your own memory and it's gone anyway, brother. If you don't hold the own grievance of your own crap together in here, you'll suddenly begin to love everything that's around you because that's what you are.
Yeah.
The first covenant says an eye for an eye. The new covenant says only love and release the exchange. Exchange is impossible. Every time you exchange, you're dead. God does not exchange. You're under no laws but God's. Lesson 76. Give up all foolish attempts to hold yourself in the bondage of your green stripism. I don't know how you do it. I couldn't stand this. Remember? I told you, you got a thing in your wallet that says 10, and it's a value, and you can go and spend it if somebody will give you back what you want. What a chaotic place to be. Then you tear it up, burn it up, and suddenly you're helpless, because your reality depends on the bondage of your possessed mind. You call that freedom, I call it bondage and death. See the difference in perception? You live off the potential of your associations, sell your soul to the devil, and die in an attempt to prove it. I'm just here to tell you, you're not going to prove it. Isn't it better that I'm right and you're wrong?
Yeah.
Okay? That's all now, if I can get you to that point, I'm going home. I'm going to tell you this. Whatever you think I am. Whatever you think I am has nothing to do with what I am, because this has nothing to do with what any of us are. There's no such thing. You want the sentence? Everyone must come to know there is no world.
Yes.
Oh, that's much too uncompromising. Well, that's fact. There is no world. It's just a transient moment in time. It was over the moment it occurred. Don't hold it together and it'll fall apart and you'll be in heaven because you never left heaven. Anything not in heaven is not real. Anything not eternal is not real. Ain't that funny? I'm doing the Course in Miracles. What the hell are these groups meeting about? They're afraid to teach what it says. Isn't that amazing? That you in your own mind are afraid to teach the very simple sentence that God is a fact? God is a fact. It is not open to a discussion. It's not open to an association. It's a simple admission that it's what everything is. Okay? There's no doctrine in it, is it? No. It's the power that you're using to identify yourself. But you can't make that real because it's not real. Now, the next question that you will always ask, that was formulated in your own mind, is how did it happen? You say to me, well, how did it happen? Right? How did we get here? Right? Who asked that question? Certainly not the Spirit. Certainly God doesn't ask the question, how did I get here? The thing that asks the question, how do I get here, is the thing that thinks that it's here. Now, that's the whole problem that you're having. That's why you need the miracle. That's why it's a Course in Miracles. Now, those who begin to have the experience of enlightenment, healing, forgiveness, like that experience because it makes them happy. And they discovered that the human condition, which apparently made them happy, was really an association with fear that they depended on in order to find some happiness and some pain and tell the difference.
Yeah.
You are threatened by eternal happiness, but there's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry. I can't help you. You're going to have to be eternally happy. Well,
Wow.
he just stares at me. It's a great threat. What? Can you get this at all? You literally, dummies, believe there has to be a reason for you to be happy. Your whole relationship of mind is based on having a reason for happiness compared to a reason for obviously being unhappy. There isn't any such thing as un. When you're on nothing. All unhappiness, all sickness, all pain, and death is literally nothing. Because God is only totally happy, because that's what you are. He extends his happiness eternally and forever. Okay? Not only that, but he does it singularly. And that's a big threat to you. God has one son, right? Obviously, he doesn't have to have more than one. He's everything anyway. Who is that son? Correct. Not someone else, you. What about the other guys? They're part of your mind, and they're whole too if you are. If there are other guys separate from you, then you got a problem, because they got different gods. See, because God only has one. That's the end of this lesson. Okay? Everybody got that? I'm doing okay. I know, you're doing fine. Keep doing what you're doing. See how easy, how simply I can teach this? No one can prevent you from doing what you're doing. I'm not, you believe, you actually, some of you said, really, I'm coercing you. That's bullshit. You can do anything you want in your own mind. I'm not going to how could I stop you? You are your own identity. You're the one that has to decide whether you want the outcome that you're sure as hell going to get being here. Never mind that you're causing cancer to your brother and killing him and murdering. You don't mind that. I don't know how you stand it. Have you seen that movie, Man Facing Southwest? See the movie. Because the whole mind comes here and says, how do you stand the suffering of the associations outside of you? And don't tell me you can't do anything about it. That would just cause you more suffering. It should. The frustration of allowing somebody to be sick and die, you managed to do it somehow. Or you couldn't be here. This is hell, isn't it? Thankfully, it's not real. Okay? What's the first sign of a teacher of God? He feels his brother's pain. He tries to alleviate and discovers he can't. No matter what he does, he can't alleviate pain because his reality is based on the retention of the pain. It's called service to man, called Sister Teresa. And it's a lovely way to go. Go on out. Do everything you can to alleviate it. That way you can be sure that you can keep it as real. But it's a nice step, isn't it? I'm not telling you healers don't try. Most of you got here by trying to heal the sick. That's what we did. Boy, that's frustrating, isn't it, to a healer? To discover that everyone that he heals dies. Wow. So we have clinics of death instead of life. We treat the death, obviously, we treat the death. This is death, guys. Isn't it? I mean, anything that is not eternal is not real, is dead. You would have to look at this then as the earth is dead. You want to consider some part of this as being alive and some part dead. That's absurd. Raising the dead is nothing but bringing the concepts together to light. Jesus says you may do all the healing you want with your own mind out here, right? You may cause somebody's cancer to be remitted. You may do chants, shaman chants, all that you want, and you can repair the illusion. But you can't raise the dead until your mind is whole. I'm a death raiser. It's not hard. It simply says, this is not real. That raises the dead.
Yes.
Because this is what dead is. I say to you, the tomb is already empty. When one association, I'll use Jesus. Obviously, if there's one falsity, when one association rose from the dead, the world was gone. I'd love the Christians that go around and say Christ is risen, and obviously the question is, what the hell are you doing here then? Since he saved the world and the world is gone. Jesus talks about this. So we're teaching you, obviously, to be death raisers. How do you do it? You discover you were the cause of the earth. Okay? It becomes very simple to do. It's not really a big deal because you invented the earth. You like to make it a big deal and say, how dare you tell me that you're the risen Son of God? See how the devil is offended by the declaration of wholeness? The priest will rend his garments when Jesus says, I am that. Kill him. Kill him. He dares to say that we are God, rather than that we are separate, keeping our own separate identities and establishing a God that corresponds to us. Okay? God is going to be God no matter what you do, and he will not know of your conflict. Conflict conflicts with conflict. It is not real and never will be. I'm not teaching you to the solution of the problem within your own mind. I am telling you that there is no problem, beginning with the problem is not solvable. The moment that you do not attempt to solve this problem, having known that there's a problem, you will wake up and be in heaven and dead. As long as you continue to solve the problem in your own cause and effect relationship, you are getting the results of the solution of the problem you want in your own mind. You cannot, do you understand that? You've asked for a temporary solution to the problem and may very well get it, but it doesn't solve the problem. Does it? But it guarantees you death. By solving the problem temporarily, you can guarantee your own demise. You see, so you call life putting out brush fires. I hate it.
Yeah.
See, you put out that one and there's another one. You get it out, you got another one. So your whole frigging reality is based on defending and attacking yourself from something that appears to be constantly attacking. Not only do you do that, but you think that's what life is. And everybody here will tell you that life is defending, attacking, because that's what you do, isn't it? Can I tell you something? That's not what life is. Okay. You ready? I'm not going to try to tell you what life is, because you've already admitted that God is perfect and whole and lovely. All I'm really telling you is that life isn't this. This Course in Miracles. I'm not offering you a solution contained, can you hear me, Ralph? I'm not offering you a solution contained within your own mind, because it ain't there. You're looking in the only place where you can't find it, because it's a projection of your determination not to find it. Obviously, it's so obvious to anyone except a complete loony, unless you're completely loony, that if there's a whole God of love and wholeness, eternal and powerful forever, that nothing could possibly prevent you from going to him. That's absurd. What would it be? It didn't make any sense. And not only that, but you couldn't possibly have been separated from him. Isn't that easy? So, you got a problem? Work it out. Don't come to me. I'm your last threat. I'm teaching a Course in Miracles here. I'm teaching you have no problem. You're hell-bent on bringing your problems to me. Yet obviously I can't solve them because they're not real. I'm teaching you. They're real to you, aren't they? Darn right they are. Well, you have them real then, because your reality depends on your sickness. Now, the minds that are waking up very obviously see the looniness of the human condition, because looked at, it's crazy. Life couldn't possibly be based on loss and sickness and death. Not only is that so, but you know it. Isn't that funny? You know perfectly well that's true. I'm just reminding you of it. How long, O Son of God, before you're going to admit that this is your own nightmare, and all of the constructs are just dreams of your own mind and never happen? How do I know? I have no idea. Somewhere you must have asked me to tell you that this ain't real. So I'm here telling you it's not real. That's not the question, is it? It's not real. Okay? Do you understand what I just said to you? The world's not real, dummy, in your mind. I'm talking to you. I'm a funny fat guy sitting in a chair here, telling you the world's not real and you're perfect as God created you. Okay? Respond. Well, what the hell? I mean, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to hardware for you so I get the hell out of here. I'm sitting here as a fat old guy in your own mind telling you that I'm the savior of the world is over and gone, and we're in heaven together. It ain't hard. See, all I did was release you. Now, you didn't do it. You said to me, how do you know that? By asking me how I knew it, you could keep from hearing it. Because I'm a projection of your own mind. You protect yourself, this is form mind, by saying, oh, is that so? How do you know that? Well, obviously it doesn't know how it knows because it's in your own mind. You're asking yourself how you can know that, and obviously you can't. The most graphic demonstration that the Course in Miracles uses to prove this, I did yesterday with Kimmy. Okay, if you want to do this, I'm going home. I don't know whether you want to do this or not. I'll do it just once for you. Okay, you like the idea of your own saviorship as long as you can keep it multiple. Because I've allowed you existentialism, this is Christianity. I haven't given you total transcendentalism, because you can't get it with Buddhism. You can't get it by saying, we can never know that. Concepts will never get us to God, says Buddha. And that's absolutely true. That's Krishnamurti. Okay, that's that other funny guy that's teaching, you can't get there, you can't get there. Well, what am I supposed to do? I believe you, now what am I going to do? That's Krishnamurti. He never completed his own process.
That's right.
Look at it, brother, you can't get there. What's the other guy that's teaching Course now? Tara Singh. Tara Singh teaches you can't get there. He says, therefore, stay around and get sick and die with your buddies because it's impossible for you to do. And that's the beginning of the Course, not the end. See, the admission that you can't is the beginning of Christianity. Isn't that good? And that's how Christianity began, because it's in your own mind. Isn't that fun?
Wow.
It isn't that the transcendental way won't work, but if the transcendental way works, you don't have a problem. See, since you can't transcend, you must always end up saying, God is not conceptual and I can't get it. Good. Therefore, the concepts cannot be so. And if you'll, this Christianity now, then man can come to be God through the transformation of his own mind. This is the teachings of Jesus Christ. Now let's go to our contemporary problem. Okay? There can be only one real Savior of the world because there's only one problem and one solution. Okay? If we find ourselves in a multiple situation, rather than saying that you're all saviors of the world, I'll teach it this way to you. Is this okay, Kimmy? Okay. Kimmy is the Savior of the world.